Captain Doyon stood on the bridge of the Earthship New Hope as it moved through space toward the Kethvar Empire. He had been chosen to lead humanity's first real meeting with aliens. The weight of this moment pressed on his shoulders like a heavy stone. "Captain, we are getting close to their space," said Yura, his science officer. She was looking at her computer screen with worried eyes. The readings showed ships ahead of them. "Many ships. Big ships. Thank you, Yura," Doyon replied. He turned to Jinwoo, who sat at the communications desk. "Send them our message again. Tell them we come in peace." Jinwoo's fingers moved across his controls. "Message sent, Captain. They are responding now." The main screen lit up with the face of a Kethvar. The alien looked like a giant lizard that could walk on two legs. Its eyes were cold and yellow. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. "Human ship, you will follow our escort ships. Do not try anything stupid. Our weapons are pointed at you." Doyon kept his face calm, but inside he felt angry. This was not how you should talk to visitors who came in peace. "We understand. We will follow your ships." The Kethvar cut the communication without saying goodbye. Somin, who was the team's advisor, walked up to stand next to Do-hyun. "They are not being very friendly," she said quietly. "No, they are not," Do-hyun agreed. "But we knew this might happen. Earth wants us to try talking first." The human ship followed the alien escorts through space for several hours. They passed many Kethvar ships and space stations. Everything looked old but powerful. The aliens had been traveling in space for thousands of years, while humans had only started a few decades ago. Finally, they reached the main Kethvar planet. It was huge and covered in tall metal buildings that reached into the sky. The human ship was told to land at a specific place near the biggest building. "Captain," said Yura as they prepared to land, "I am reading their atmosphere. We can breathe their air, but it will feel thick and smell bad." "We expected that," Do-hyun said. "Everyone remember the plan. We stay calm, we show respect, but we do not let them walk all over us." The landing was smooth. Do-hyun, Yura, Jinwoo, and Somin put on their formal uniforms and walked down the ship's ramp. The gravity on this planet was stronger than Earth's, making each step feel heavy. Waiting for them were 6 Kethvar soldiers and one who looked more important. The important one was bigger than the others and wore more decorations on his armor. "I am High Commander Mordan," the big alien said. "You will come with us now. Do not touch anything. Do not speak unless spoken to." Do-hyun felt his team tense up behind him. This was another insult, but he kept his voice steady. "We are honored to meet you, High Commander. We look forward to speaking with your leaders." Mordan made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your leaders. That is funny. Follow me, humans." They walked through the alien city for 30 minutes. The buildings were even bigger up close. Kethvar civilians stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. Some pointed and made noises that sounded like they were laughing. The main government building was enormous. Inside, the walls were covered with pictures of Kethvar victories in space battles. Do-hyun noticed that in many of the pictures, the enemy ships were much smaller and looked damaged. They were brought to a huge room with a high ceiling. At the far end sat a massive Kethvar on a throne made of metal and jewels. This had to be Emperor Velthak. "So," the Emperor said in a voice that filled the room, "these are the humans we have heard about. You are smaller than I thought you would be." Do-hyun walked forward and stopped at the right distance to show respect. "Your Majesty, I am Captain Do-hyun of Earth. We come to offer friendship between our peoples." Emperor Velthak leaned forward in his throne. "Friendship? What could you possibly offer us? Your ships are tiny. Your weapons are weak. Your people have barely left your home planet. We offer trade, knowledge, and peaceful cooperation," Do-hyun replied. "But we also come with a message from our leaders." "A message?" The Emperor seemed amused. "Speak this message, little human." Do-hyun took a deep breath. This was the most important moment of his life. The words he spoke now could mean peace or war between two species. "Your Majesty, Earth offers the Kethvar Empire peaceful relations. We want to trade goods and share knowledge. We want to explore the galaxy together as friends. But if you choose to treat us as enemies, you should know something about humans." The room became very quiet. All the Kethvar were listening now. Do-hyun continued. "Our species has survived ice ages that covered our planet in snow for thousands of years. We have survived diseases that killed most of our people. We have survived wars where we fought each other with weapons that could destroy entire cities. We adapt to anything. We survive everything. And we remember everything. He paused and looked directly at the Emperor. Treat us as equals and we will be the best allies you have ever had. Treat us as enemies, and you will learn why nothing in our planet's history has ever been able to wipe us out completely. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Emperor Velthak began to laugh. It was a deep booming sound that echoed off the walls. Soon other Kethvar in the room were laughing too. Did you hear that? The Emperor said to his advisors. The little humans think they can threaten us. A species that cannot even make a proper spaceship thinks they can challenge the mighty Kethvar Empire. High Commander Mordan stepped forward. Your Majesty, perhaps we should show these humans what real power looks like. The Emperor waved his hand. No. Let them return to their little ship. Let them go back to their little planet. But first let them understand something. He stood up from his throne and Do-Hyun saw just how huge he was. Human, your people are nothing to us. We have conquered 100 worlds. We have destroyed fleets of ships bigger than anything your species has ever built. If we wanted to, we could turn your Earth into space dust tomorrow. Do-Hyun felt his team move closer behind him, but he did not back down. Your Majesty, we hope you will choose peace instead. Peace? The Emperor laughed again. Peace is for equals. You are not our equals. You are insects, but insects can sometimes be useful. We will think about what use we might have for your people. As the humans were escorted back to their ship, Do-Hyun knew that the warning had been given. Earth had tried to choose the path of peace. Now it was up to the Kethvar to decide what happened next. Behind them, he could still hear the aliens laughing. 3 weeks after the meeting with Emperor Velthak, High Commander Mordan sat in his war room looking at star maps. The human delegation had returned to their space, and now it was time to decide what to do with these strange new creatures. They are weak, said General Kekstar, one of Mordan's top officers. Their ships move slowly. Their weapons are simple. They would make good slaves for our mining operations. Mordan nodded slowly. The Emperor agrees. He thinks the humans might be useful, but only if they learn their place. They need to understand that we are their masters now. What about their warning? Asked another officer. They seemed very serious when they spoke about their history. Mordan laughed. Every weak species makes threats when they feel scared. Humans are no different. They talked about surviving ice and disease, but so what? We have conquered species that could breathe fire, and others that could live in space without ships. Humans are just another primitive race that thinks they are special. Far away in human space, Intelligence Officer Nayeon was working late in her small office on Earth's main communication station. Her job was to listen to alien radio signals and try to understand what they meant. For the past week, she had been picking up more and more Kethvar transmissions. What she heard made her blood run cold. Command, this is Officer Nayeon. She said into her communicator. I need to speak with Admiral Ki-hyun immediately. It is urgent. 20 minutes later, Admiral Ki-hyun entered her office. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been preparing for this day since first contact with the aliens. What do you have for me, Nayeon? He asked. She played back the recordings she had translated. The Admiral's face grew darker with each word. They are planning to attack our outer colonies first, Nayeon explained. They want to test their weapons on our people. They think it will be good training for their young soldiers. Admiral Ki-hyun was quiet for a long moment. How much time do we have? Based on their ship movements, maybe 2 weeks before they reach our first outpost. The Admiral picked up his communicator. Get me the President. Tell him we need an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. Tell him the Kethvar have made their choice. The first attack came exactly 13 days later. Commander Taemin was in charge of the Outer Rim Defense Station called Haven Point. It was a small base with only 200 people, mostly families of miners who worked on nearby asteroids. Taemin was drinking his morning coffee when his alarm system started screaming. What is happening? He called to his communications officer. Sir, we have multiple ships coming out of faster-than-light travel. They are big ships and they are not responding to our signals. On the main screen, Taemin could see 6 Kethvar warships. They were massive compared to the small defense ships that Haven Point had. Send a message to all ships, Taemin ordered. Tell them this is human space and they need to explain their business here. The response came in the form of weapons fire. The Kethvar ships began shooting at everything they could see. Mining ships, cargo vessels, even small family transports that were trying to run away. Sir, his officer called out. They are not trying to capture anything. They are just destroying everything they can find. Taman watched in horror as a transport ship carrying 15 people exploded under alien fire. Get me a communication link to Earth. Send out a distress signal. Tell them the Kethvar are attacking civilians. The battle lasted only 3 hours. When it was over, Haven Point was gone. Most of the people had escaped in emergency pods. But the Kethvar had captured about 50 humans, including Taman himself. Taman woke up in a metal cage on a Kethvar ship. Around him were other humans, including Medical Officer Hyejin, who had been visiting Haven Point when the attack happened. "Commander," Hyejin whispered. "Are you hurt?" Taman checked himself. He had cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. "I am okay. What about the others?" "3 people are badly injured. The aliens have not given us any medical supplies. I am doing what I can, but—" She did not finish her sentence. A Kethvar guard walked up to their cage. He was young, probably a soldier in training. "Which one of you is the leader?" he asked in broken human language. "I am," Taman said, standing up. The guard hit the cage with his weapon. "You do not stand unless told to stand. You are property now. Property does not stand when masters are speaking." Over the next few days, Taman and the other prisoners learned what the Kethvar had planned for captured humans. They were to be used for hard labor in alien mines. The work was dangerous, and the aliens did not care if humans got hurt or died. But worse than the physical treatment was the way the Kethvar acted like capturing humans was a game. Young Kethvar soldiers would come to look at the prisoners and laugh. They would poke the humans with sticks and make bets about how long each one would live. "This is training for them," Hyejin said quietly one night. "They are learning to see us as things, not people." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Ki-hyun was meeting with President Lee. The reports from Haven Point and 2 other attacked colonies painted a clear picture. "They are not trying to conquer us quickly," the Admiral explained. "They are playing with us. They attack, capture some people, destroy what they can, then leave. It is like they are testing us to see how we will react." President Lee looked at the reports on his desk. "What do our people want us to do?" "The families of the captured want us to negotiate. They want us to try to get their loved ones back through diplomacy." "And what do you think we should do, Admiral?" Admiral Ki-hyun was quiet for a moment. "Sir, I think we should send one more diplomatic message. We should make it very clear what will happen if they do not stop these attacks and return our people." The message was sent the next day. Captain Do-hyun, who had survived his return from Kethvar space, recorded it personally. "Emperor Velthak," he said, looking directly into the camera, "you have ignored our offer of peace. You have attacked our civilians and taken our people as prisoners. We ask one final time. Stop these attacks, return our citizens, and we can still find a peaceful solution." He paused, and his voice became harder. "If you continue these attacks, if you continue to treat human beings as toys for your soldiers to play with, then you will force us to respond. We warned you before about what humans are capable of when we are pushed too far. This is your last chance to avoid finding out if we were telling the truth." The response came 3 days later. It was a video message broadcast across the Kethvar Empire and sent to Earth as well. The video showed Captain Do-hyun and his team in chains, kneeling on the floor of a Kethvar arena. Emperor Velthak stood over them with a massive weapon in his hands. "Humans of Earth," the Emperor said, "this is what happens to those who threaten the Kethvar Empire." The weapon fired. Captain Do-hyun and half of his team died instantly. The video continued for several more minutes, showing Kethvar crowds cheering and celebrating. When the message ended, Earth was silent for exactly 1 minute. Then every communication channel on the planet began broadcasting the same message. "Attention all human colonies and ships. This is Earth Command. All civilian vessels are to return to protected space immediately. All military personnel report to your commanders. Authorization code Omega 779. This is not a drill." Admiral Ki-hyun stood in his command center, watching as humanity began to prepare for something it had never done before, fight a war among the stars. "Sir," his aide asked quietly, "what are your orders?" "Send a message to all commands," the Admiral said. "Tell them the Kethvar have made their choice. Now they will learn what happens when you make humans angry." 6 months had passed since the execution of Captain Do-hyun and his team. High Commander Morden stood in his command center, looking at reports from across human space. What he saw puzzled him. "General Kekstar," he called to his aide, "look at these reports. When did we last hear from our raiding parties in human territory? The general checked his computer. Sir, the last successful raid was 3 weeks ago. Since then, our ships report finding nothing. Empty space stations, abandoned colonies, no ships to capture. What do you mean, empty? The humans seem to have disappeared, sir. Our scouts find their buildings and equipment, but no people. It is like they all just left. Morden thought about this. Maybe they are hiding on their home world. Maybe we scared them so badly that they all ran back to Earth. That is what Emperor Velthak thinks too, sir. He is planning a big celebration. He wants to announce that the human problem has been solved. But Morden felt uneasy. In his long military career, he had conquered many worlds. Usually, when a species was beaten, they either fought desperately or tried to surrender. They did not just disappear. Far away, in a hidden base built inside an asteroid, intelligence analyst Min Seo was working around the clock. She had not slept properly in weeks, but the work was too important to stop. Wu Jin, she called to the pilot who had just returned from another scouting mission. What did you find this time? Wu Jin pulled off his flight helmet and sat down heavily. I mapped 3 more Kethvar supply lines in the Outer Reach sector. They have 15 major bases and about 40 smaller outposts. Good, Min Seo said, marking the information on her massive star chart. That gives us complete intelligence on 17 of their systems. The chart covered an entire wall of the hidden base. It showed every Kethvar ship, base, supply route, and communication relay that human scouts had found. Red lines connected all the important targets. Blue lines showed how long it would take to reach each one. Min Seo, Wu Jin said quietly, do you really think this plan will work? There are so many of them, and they have been fighting wars for thousands of years. Min Seo looked at the chart. It will work because they think they have already won. They think we are hiding and scared. They have no idea what we are really doing. In another hidden facility, Dr. Chae-young was working with engineer Seung-ho on something that would have shocked the Kethvar. They had been studying every piece of alien technology and every biological sample that human forces had collected. The weakness in their ship systems is bigger than we thought, Dr. Chae-young said, pointing to her computer screen. They use the same basic computer language for everything. If we can get access to one ship, we can potentially control their entire fleet. Seung-ho nodded. And their biology makes them vulnerable to specific frequencies of light. They evolved on a planet with a different type of sun. Our weapons can be adjusted to use this against them. How long do we need to prepare the modifications? Give me 2 more weeks, Seung-ho said. 2 weeks and we can turn their own advantages into weaknesses. Dr. Chae-young smiled grimly. The Kethvar keep saying humans are primitive. They have no idea that being primitive means we think differently than they do. We do not follow their rules. Meanwhile, Strategic Operations Director Ji-young was coordinating the largest military operation in human history. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier was being moved into position according to a plan that had been worked on since the first meeting with the aliens. General Park, she said during a secure video call, are your forces in position for Stage 1? Yes, Director. All stealth ships are deployed. All communication jammers are ready. All boarding teams are prepared. What about Stage 2? Admiral Kim reports that the main attack fleets are hidden and waiting. They can reach any target in Kethvar space within 6 hours of receiving orders. Ji-young looked at her own charts. Unlike the intelligence maps that showed where the enemy was, these showed where humans would strike. Every target had been chosen carefully. Every attack had been timed to happen at exactly the right moment. Remember, she told her commanders, this is not about conquest. This is about justice. Every human who died will be avenged. Every crime will be answered. But we are not becoming like them. Back in Kethvar space, Emperor Velthak was preparing for his victory celebration. The great arena on the capital world was being decorated with banners showing human ships being destroyed. My Emperor, High Commander Mordan said, entering the throne room, I wanted to discuss the celebration with you. What is there to discuss? Velthak replied, the humans are finished. In 1 week, we will announce to the galaxy that the Kethvar Empire has grown stronger by removing another weak species. Sir, I am concerned that we have not actually seen proof that the humans are defeated. We have only seen that they have disappeared. The Emperor laughed. Morden, you worry too much. Where could they go? We know where their homeworld is. We know they only have a few dozen ships. They are probably all crowded together on Earth, shaking with fear. But sir, what if they are planning something? Planning what? They have no weapons that can hurt us. They have no ships that can match ours. They have no experience fighting wars in space. The only thing they could be planning is how to surrender without losing all their dignity. Morden wanted to argue more, but he knew it was useless. The Emperor had decided that humans were no threat, and nothing would change his mind. What neither of them knew was that human ships were already moving through their space. Invisible to Kethvar sensors, silent and patient, they were getting into position around every important target in the Empire. Commander Sungmin sat in the captain's chair of a human stealth ship that was floating just outside the main Kethvar naval base. His crew had been there for 2 weeks watching and waiting. "Captain," his communications officer whispered, "we are receiving the final positioning reports from other ships. Everyone is ready." "Good," Sungmin replied quietly. "How long until the communication satellites are in position?" 18 hours, sir." Sungmin nodded. In 18 hours, every Kethvar communication relay in 17 systems would be surrounded by human ships. When the order came, the entire Kethvar Empire would go deaf and blind in the same instant. "Sir," his tactical officer asked, "are you sure the aliens will not detect us before then?" "They will not detect us because they are not looking for us," Sungmin explained. "They think we are defeated. They think we are hiding on Earth. They cannot imagine that we would be bold enough to surround their strongest bases." "And after we cut their communications?" Sungmin looked at the massive Kethvar base through his ship's cameras. Hundreds of alien ships moved in and out of the base every day. Thousands of Kethvar lived and worked there. In a few hours, it would all change. After we cut their communications, they will learn something about humans that they should have learned before they decided to make us their enemies. "What is that, sir?" "They will learn that when humans go quiet, it does not mean we have given up. It means we are getting ready to do something that will make everyone remember why it was a mistake to make us angry in the first place." As the human ships continued their silent approach to their targets, Emperor Velthak was putting the finishing touches on his celebration speech. He had no idea that every word he planned to say would become a monument to his own foolishness. The countdown had begun. Soon the galaxy would see what happened when a species that had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars decided that enough was enough. At exactly 0800 Universal Time, every Kethvar communication relay in 17 star systems stopped working. It happened in the same second across thousands of light-years of space, as if someone had turned off a giant switch. High Commander Mordan was in his command center when the screens went dark. "What is happening?" he shouted to his officers. "Why have we lost communication with our fleets?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began screaming throughout the base. His tactical officer looked up from his console with wide, frightened eyes. "Sir, we have human ships appearing all around us. They were not there a moment ago, but now our sensors show dozens of them." "That is impossible," Mordan said. "Human ships are primitive. We would have detected them long before they got close." "Sir, they are sending us a message." On the main screen, a human face appeared. It was Fleet Admiral Jisoo. Though Morden did not know her name, she looked calm and professional, but her eyes were as hard as steel. "Hi, Commander Mordan," she said. "I am Admiral Jisoo of the Earth Defense Force. You are surrounded by human warships. Your communication systems have been disabled. Your backup systems will not work because we have been studying your technology for 6 months. Mordan felt his stomach drop. "This is impossible. Humans do not have this kind of technology." Admiral Jisoo continued as if she could hear him. "You have one chance to surrender your base and release all human prisoners. You have 5 minutes to decide. If you choose to fight, you will lose. If you surrender, your people will be treated according to human laws of war." The communication ended. Morden looked around his command center at his officers. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. "Sir," his weapons officer said, "our long-range weapons are not responding. Something is wrong with our computer systems." At that moment, Morden realized something terrifying. The humans had not just appeared from nowhere. They had been here, watching and learning, for a very long time. Across Kethvar space, the same scene was playing out at every major military base. Human ships that had been invisible suddenly appeared around each target. Communication systems failed. Computer networks began turning against their users. Captain Hyunsik was leading a team of human technicians inside a captured Kethvar computer network. For months, they had been quietly placing hidden programs in alien systems every time the Kethvar captured human technology. "Sir," one of his team members said. We have access to their automated defense systems. Should we turn them off? Better than that, Hunsik replied with a cold smile. Turn them around. Make their own defenses shoot at their own ships. At Kethvar Naval Base 7, alien officers watched in horror as their own defense satellites began firing on their own fleet. Ships that had been safely docked at the base were suddenly under attack from weapons they thought were protecting them. This is impossible, screamed the base commander. Our own systems would never attack us. But that was exactly what was happening. Every computer virus, every hidden program, every backdoor that humans had secretly installed was now active. The Kethvar Empire was being attacked by its own technology. Emperor Velthak was in his throne room when General Kekstar burst in without permission. Your Majesty, the general gasped. We are under attack. 17 systems, every major base, all at the same time. Attacked by who? Velthak demanded. The humans. That is impossible. They have no ships capable of such an attack. Sir, they do. They have been hiding ships we never detected. They have weapons we have never seen, and they are destroying our fleets. Emperor Velthak stood up from his throne, his massive frame shaking with rage. How many ships do they have? We do not know, sir. Our communications are down across the entire empire. We cannot contact any of our fleets to get reports. Pilot Yunha led her fighter squadron through the chaos of a Kethvar fleet battle. The alien ships were bigger and more powerful than human fighters, but they were also slower and could not change direction quickly. Blue Squadron, this is Blue Leader, she called to her pilots. Remember your training. These ships are strong, but they are not smart. Use their size against them. Her fighter dove between two massive Kethvar warships. The alien ships tried to shoot at her, but their weapons were so big that they could not track a small, fast target. Instead, they ended up shooting each other. Blue Leader, this is Blue 3, one of her pilots called. The aliens are trying to form up for a coordinated attack. Let them try, Yuna replied. Their communication systems are down. They cannot coordinate anything. Each ship is fighting alone, it was true. Without their communication networks, the Kethvar fleets were like blind giants swinging at shadows. Human ships moved between them like wolves hunting a herd of confused cattle. Meanwhile, Admiral Ki-hyun was coordinating the overall attack from his command ship hidden in deep space. Reports were coming in from every battle zone. Admiral, his communications officer, reported. Admiral Jisoo reports that Kethvar Naval Base 1 has surrendered. Admiral Kim reports that Fleet Base 7 is destroyed. Captain Sungmin reports that their main communication hub is under human control. What about enemy resistance? Admiral Ki-hyun asked. Lighter than expected, sir. The aliens are brave fighters, but they cannot fight effectively when they cannot talk to each other and their own weapons are shooting at them. Admiral Ki-hyun nodded. Phase 2 is working perfectly. What is the status on Phase 3? All boarding teams are ready, sir. They are waiting for your orders to begin capturing alien leadership. Back on the Kethvar capital world, Emperor Velthak was learning what it felt like to be helpless. His palace guards had found human soldiers inside the building, but no one knew how they had gotten there. Your Majesty, Captain Yujin said as she and her team entered the throne room, you need to come with us. The Emperor looked at the small human woman in disbelief. You dare enter my palace? You dare threaten me? Sir, Captain Yujin replied calmly, your military is defeated. Your fleets are destroyed or surrendered. Your communication systems are under our control. You can come with us peacefully or we can carry you. Your choice. Emperor Velthak reached for his personal weapon but found that it would not fire. The human soldiers had already disabled it. How? He asked in a voice that was barely a whisper. How did you do this? You made 2 mistakes, Captain Yujin explained. First, you thought humans were weak because we offered you peace. Second, you thought we were stupid because our technology was simpler than yours. She gestured for her team to secure the area. What you did not understand is that humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know how to be patient. We know how to wait for the right moment. And we know how to use an enemy's strength against them. The Emperor sank back into his throne. This is not possible. We are the Kethvar Empire. We have conquered 100 worlds. You conquered species that fought the way you expected them to fight, Captain Yujin said. You never fought anyone who was willing to disappear for 6 months just to plan the perfect attack. You never fought anyone who could turn your own weapons against you. As reports continued to come in, the scale of the human victory became clear. In less than 72 hours, the Kethvar Empire had lost 90% of its military power. Their fleets were destroyed. Their bases were captured. Their leaders were prisoners. But the most shocking thing was how few humans had died in the fighting. The Kethvar had been so dependent on their communication systems and computer networks that when those were turned against them, they could barely fight back. Admiral Jisoo stood on the bridge of her flagship looking at the latest reports. "Communications officer, send a message to all Kethvar forces that are still fighting." "Yes, Admiral." "What should the message say?" "Tell them that Emperor Velthak has been captured. Tell them that their high command has surrendered. Tell them that this war is over, and now we need to discuss what comes next." As the message was sent across what had once been the mighty Kethvar Empire, one thought was in the mind of every alien who heard it. The humans had tried to warn them and they had not listened. Now they understood why that had been the biggest mistake in their species' history. 3 months after the fall of the Kethvar Empire, Judge Do-hyun sat in a large courtroom on the human station New Justice. He was the younger brother of the Captain Do-hyun, who had been executed by Emperor Velthak. Today he would decide the fate of the aliens who had started this war. The courtroom was filled with representatives from dozens of different species. Word of humanity's victory had spread across the galaxy, and everyone wanted to see how humans would treat their defeated enemies. Emperor Velthak sat in chains at the defendant's table. The once mighty ruler looked small and tired. Beside him sat High Commander Morden and dozens of other Kethvar leaders who had ordered attacks on human civilians. "Emperor Velthak," Judge Do-hyun said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent courtroom, "you are charged with ordering the deaths of 1,147 human civilians. You are charged with approving the torture and enslavement of 312 human prisoners. You are charged with executing diplomats who came to you under a flag of peace." The judge paused and looked at a long list on his desk. "The court will now read the name of every human who died because of your decisions." For the next hour, Judge Do-hyun read name after name. Sarah Kim, age 34, killed in the attack on Haven Point. Michael Park, age 8, killed when his family's transport was destroyed. Captain Do-hyun, age 41, executed on live broadcast for trying to make peace. With each name, Emperor Velthak seemed to shrink a little more. Several times, alien observers in the courtroom made sounds of distress. They had never seen a war crimes trial where every single victim was named and remembered. When the reading was finished, Judge Do-hyun looked at the Emperor. "Do you have anything to say before this court passes judgment?" Emperor Velthak stood slowly. I did not think humans were real people. You seemed so weak, so primitive. In my mind, you were just animals that happened to be able to talk." "And now?" the judge asked. "Now I know that I was wrong. But it is too late, is it not?" Judge Do-hyun nodded. "Yes, it is too late for those who died. But it is not too late for those who still live." The judge stood up. "Emperor Velthak, this court finds you guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. However, this court also recognizes that you and your people are capable of learning and changing." Murmurs went through the courtroom. Everyone had expected the humans to execute the Emperor, just as he had executed their diplomats. "Your sentence is life imprisonment, but with a possibility of supervised release after 20 years if you prove that you understand why your actions were wrong. Your people will be given a choice. Accept human guidance and learn to live peacefully with other species, or be relocated to a distant system where you cannot harm anyone else." Dr. Yura, now serving as colonial administrator, stood up to address the court. "The Kethvar people are not evil. They are capable of learning. We have already begun education programs to help them understand why all intelligent life has value, regardless of how primitive or advanced it appears to be." She gestured to a group of young Kethvar in the courtroom. "These young people have volunteered to be the first to learn human ways of thinking about peace and cooperation. They will return to their own people as teachers." One of the young Kethvar, a female named Zilnara, asked permission to speak. "Honored Judge," she said in careful human language, "my people were taught that strength was the only thing that mattered. We were taught that weak species deserve to be conquered, but humans have shown us that real strength is knowing when not to use your power." Judge Do-hyun smiled at her. "That is a lesson that took humans thousands of years to learn. We do not expect your people to learn it overnight, but we believe you can learn it." After the trial, diplomat Soman prepared to broadcast a message to every known species in the galaxy. She sat in a communication center surrounded by translation equipment that would send her words to hundreds of different worlds. People of the galaxy, she began. 3 months ago, the Kethvar Empire attacked humanity without warning. They ignored our offers of peace. They tortured our people. They executed our diplomats. They believed that because we were new to space travel, we were weak and could be easily conquered. The camera stayed focused on her face as she continued. They were wrong. Humans brought down their empire in less than 3 days. We did this not because we wanted to conquer them, but because they forced us to defend ourselves. She paused and looked directly into the camera. Now I want to tell you something important about humanity. We do not enjoy war. We do not want to rule over other species. We prefer to solve problems by talking and working together. But, and her voice became harder, if you choose to attack us, if you choose to hurt our people, if you choose to ignore our warnings and treat us as enemies, then you will learn what the Kethvar learned. You will learn that humans are very good at war when we have to be. The message continued with detailed information about exactly how humans had defeated the Kethvar Empire. Every tactical decision was explained. Every technological advantage was described. It was both a warning and an invitation. We are sharing this information, Soman explained, so that no other species will make the same mistake the Kethvar made. Do not assume that a species is weak just because they offer you peace. Do not assume that primitive technology means primitive thinking. Do not assume that humans will not fight back when pushed too far. But also remember this. Humans have excellent memories for both enemies and friends. Species that treat us with respect will find no better allies in the galaxy. We will share our knowledge, trade fairly, and stand beside you when you face troubles. As the broadcast ended, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Dozens of species were sending messages to Earth, offering trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. Others were asking for human help in dealing with their own problems. But there were also species that sent very different messages. Several aggressive empires that had been planning to expand into human space suddenly announced that they were focusing on internal development instead. Admiral Ki-hyun met with President Lee in the Oval Office of Earth's government building. Sir, the Admiral reported, the galaxy has received our message. We are getting hundreds of diplomatic requests every day. What kind of requests? The President asked. Trade offers, alliance proposals, requests for protection from other aggressive species. It seems that many civilizations have been waiting for someone strong enough to stand up to bullies like the Kethvar. President Lee looked out the window at the stars. What about the Kethvar themselves? How are they adapting to their new situation? Better than expected, sir. Dr. Yura reports that about 60% of their population has voluntarily entered the re-education programs. They are learning human concepts of cooperation and peaceful conflict resolution. And the other 40%? They have chosen relocation to the Outer Rim territories. They will be allowed to rebuild their society there, but under strict monitoring to ensure they do not return to their old ways of conquest. 6 months later, Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the human exploration ship New Horizons. His mission was to make contact with species that had never met humans before. Using the lessons learned from the Kethvar situation, Captain, his communications officer reported, we are receiving a signal from the planet ahead. It appears to be some kind of warning. Put it on the main screen. The face that appeared was that of a blue-skinned alien with large eyes and a nervous expression. Unknown ships, the alien said. This system is under the protection of the Kethvar Empire. You must leave immediately or face the consequences. Captain Minho smiled sadly. This species had not yet heard the news about what had happened to their supposed protectors. This is Captain Minho of the Earth ship New Horizons, he responded. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. We also have important news to share with you about the Kethvar Empire. 2 hours later, representatives of the blue-skinned species were aboard the human ship, listening in amazement as Captain Minho explained what had happened. The Kethvar told us they were invincible, said the alien diplomat, whose name was translated as Speaker for the Peaceful Waters. They said no one could challenge their power. They believed that themselves, Captain Minho replied. That was their mistake. They confused technological advancement with wisdom. They confused military power with true strength. And what is true strength according to humans? Captain Minho thought for a moment. True strength is knowing when to fight and when to make peace. True strength is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. True strength is remembering that every intelligent species deserves respect, no matter how different they might be from you. Speaker for the Peaceful Waters was quiet for a long time. The HFY never said such things to us. They only spoke of conquest and submission. That is why they lost, Captain Minho said simply. They forgot that real power comes from cooperation, not domination. They forgot that making enemies is much easier than making friends. But friends last longer than conquered territories. As the human ship prepared to leave the blue-skinned alien system, Speaker for the Peaceful Waters asked one final question. What would have happened if the HFY had accepted your first offer of peace? Captain Minho smiled. Then right now, human and HFY ships would